Hello and welcome back to Behind Marketing Lines. I'm your host Zeeshan, and today I have Faheem Ahmad with me. His name comes to my mind when I think about performance marketing, attribution modeling, and all those big buzzwords you hear in marketing. He is the guru. I follow his LinkedIn for the content that he produces, and I seek insights from him from time to time as well. I thought I'll invite him to the podcast in person. And Faheem, thank you very much for taking time out.
Thank you for having me. I think it's always fun to talk about digital marketing, attribution, and all that.
I'm glad you find it interesting and you find it fun because for a lot of people, it's a lot of jargon, right? Especially when I talk to young marketers out there who are just graduating, and then they're like, okay, no one talked about it when we were graduating. What's going on out there in the market?
Yeah, I think all of this evolves over time. So when you are new, obviously you are learning about digital marketing basics. Before that, you just learn about marketing, how to advertise, and so on. And then when you get into it, then you understand, okay, now I need to learn more about organic and what is paid and how social media works. And I think attribution or measurement comes into picture when you actually start spending, because the moment you start spending, you have a budget. At the same time, you're answerable, right? So no matter where you are, if it's your own company or you work for someone, at the end of the day, they will ask you, what's the return on ad spend? What's the ROAS? How is my traffic? What's the stickiness, right? So all those jargon comes into picture when you actually start spending. And then as a marketer, I think it's crucial if you don't know how to do measurement or how to track, right? So it all blends together over time. But yeah.
Right. I think it makes sense. And we all see, I mean, for the viewers, if you're not following him on LinkedIn, please do so. Very insightful posts. And I think my question would be around how did you get into marketing, and especially this full of jargon field of attribution and performance? I will not touch that because I think he has done another podcast that's Attribution Modeling 101. If you haven't seen already, please do so. It's on his page. But how did you get in?
I always loved internet technology. I was a tech freak. And my brother, he started his own business, on e-com business. He started selling on Amazon. And I started to work with him, building his website, his content, his product listings. And that's how I got an understanding of how websites work, how social media works, how e-commerce work. And being in a startup and doing it by your own, I was able to, do a lot of listings, management of the websites, backend, Shopify, WooCommerce. We even tried like 3 to 4 different platforms in terms of what kind of backend works. So at the end, we stuck to Shopify, obviously, and that's where it all started. And then over time, my interest started to divert towards, marketing. And because I've done masters in electronics and telecom, so my
I was coming to
core
that, but thanks you brought it up.
yeah, my core background is a lot of, let's say complex formulas, complex systems, and because engineering is not easy, you need to learn a lot of mathematics. And if I tell you the subjects, I don't know, like people who may relate, but um, we did linear algebra, calculus 1, calculus 2, antenna engineering, and then in masters there were like weird subjects, right? So there was a subject called stochastic processes.
All right.
Um, so it's like a lot of imaginary numbers, a lot of very advanced math and mathematical equations that I studied. Obviously, I hated it. I never liked it, and I think it was too much for me, and that I couldn't go into engineering anymore. But obviously, mathematics stuck to me, and I was always interested in numbers. And I think that side of me made me more towards like measurement, performance marketing. So it was a good blend of e-commerce, technology, and my engineering backgrounds, which helped me end up in performance marketing and growth.
Awesome. So you haven't touched upon the branding side of things yet, or do you think that's where you see yourself going in some time? Because I know you're good with numbers. I read your posts, and I've listened to you quite a few times. We have had candid discussions previously as well. So one side of marketing is technology, numbers, how much do you spend where, and how much did you get out of it. Another side is the branding side, which especially finance people, they don't get it, right? And they don't appreciate it as well. So, I mean, do you think there's still scope for branding side of things, and would you like to explore it sometime in your career?
Um, so right now in my scope at Chalhoub Group, my role is head of growth. So it includes ATL, BTL, full funnel.
Right,
Although I'm not very hands-on on awareness or awareness, awareness campaigns itself, but it's part of my scope, my portfolio. So people
right.
who are in my team, they look at ATL, they look at branding, and I think it's not a rocket science, right? So if you don't have a brand, you don't have anything. Your marketing
Thank you for saying that.
yeah, your marketing will work 10 times better if you have a brand, right? So imagine what would be the ROI or ROAS for a campaign if you are running it via Coca-Cola's account, right? Versus a new startup or a new drink that you've just launched, right? So I think building a brand is key, and you might have. I think even 2024 start of the year, end of 2023, everybody started about branding a bit more because budgets were being cut. So people started to spend and shift their money towards brand marketing in the last 2 to 3 years. People like Byron Sharp, Les Binet, people who are all for brand and brand marketing. I think they have created a big awareness about brand marketing. I'm sure you have seen that this graph where performance marketing is like this stairs, while branding is just this curve that keeps going if you build a brand.
That's
Um,
true.
yeah, I think it's crucial to have always on branding campaigns. Always think about your brand, even before performance marketing. If you're just starting out, you have your new business. Of course, you need to spend on performance marketing because you want to sustain, right? So without having, if you want to generate money, you need to spend on performance marketing, but then in parallel, build always on top of funnel, top of mind campaigns, and don't think about ROAS for those campaigns because they're just to build the awareness.
So we talked about performance marketing, attribution modeling, you transitioning from an engineering background to marketing. Previously on my podcast, I had a sales guru, and we were having a discussion around, there is a disconnect between marketing and sales, and the sales team is always like, marketing is not bringing in enough leads, we are unable to sell, and there is this disconnect. So how do you think, from a non-e-commerce brand perspective, how can we bridge that gap? Because in e-commerce, I know there is a lot of uh, digital sales, like 100% digital sales happening, and that as marketer you can control. But what's your take on bridging the gap between marketing and sales when it comes to non-e-commerce brands?
I think we discussed this before, and we were talking about this guy, Chris Walker, right?
Yes,
I think he has produced a lot of content around this. Obviously, I'm not the expert on that, but what I feel is you can't have marketing and sales have different objectives where salespeople will go and convince people, they'll make calls, they'll try to convert all the MQLs that your marketing team is producing, but at the end of the day, if those leads are not good enough, then salespeople will have problems, right? So for me, I don't see these two different roles. If you want to succeed as a B2B, in my opinion, I think there's just one type of role, which is marketing and sales at the same time. Obviously, you will find people who are better at convincing and they're not so good in technical stuff. So you can hire specialists around that. But at the end of the day, your go to people or your people who are hunting for new business or bringing you new business, they should be looking at marketing and sales together because otherwise they'll always blame each other and it's not going to work unless you find like the perfect harmony and you build a system where both are complementing each other and they understand and they have clear needs for their clientele. But yeah, I think if you build good teams and have right people and build this mindset where you're not sales and you're not marketing, it's just one role. Your objective is to bring in new business. Uh, Now it's up to you how you figure this out to do the technical stuff on ad side and attribution side, and then actually convert those people into customers.
Interesting, I think, and that's ideal, and that's what every company should be building, a perfect harmony between marketing, sales, and customer service. So I think for me, this all falls under the customer experience bit, from awareness till the after sales service, or even if a customer is exiting, we should know and we should give them the same good experience that we promised when they were in the awareness stage, right?
100%. And I think this connects also very nicely with brand marketing, right? So
True.
if you produce a bad creative, your perception of your brand will be that creative out in the market. No one is going to trust you if you're not consistent in your ads and in your marketing, your messaging. You're saying one thing one day, the other day, and that's where brands mostly struggle, right? So they cannot maintain same level of experience across different channels, across different touch points. So I think it's crucial to have that branding element, going into your sales or marketing. So because at the end of the day, if a person is calling a customer, or a customer is seeing the ad, or a potential client is seeing the ad, they should be able to connect those dots together. So that's where like pure brand marketing comes into play, and your colors and your tone of voice and how your logo is being seen.
Makes sense. And from one of the answers you gave earlier, for you, marketing started at home, e-commerce started at home. The journey so far has been phenomenal, and I think you're one of the leaders in the industry today when it comes to e-commerce and marketing and performance marketing. What advice would you give to the people who are just getting started, and for the people this is Mount Everest, and they feel like they might not be able to make it?
I think you need to be committed to what you're doing. I remember doing a certification on Google Digital Garage about like 5, 6 years ago. I think if you want to learn digital marketing, Google's Digital Academy, or Google courses that they have produced, they are just open for everyone. They're free for everyone to learn and to consume the content. So it's all like crisp YouTube videos, 5 to 10 minute YouTube courses, and they've built it around each courses. So you can learn what is Google Analytics, you can learn Google Ads, you can learn digital marketing fundamentals. There's so many courses free for you to go and consume. I think that's good start for anyone. And then if you want to go like bit further higher into advanced courses, look at certified digital marketing courses. So there's a course called CDMP. It's called
Right.
Certified Digital Marketing Professional. I had done that back in 2017. It's a
Wow.
diploma, 6 months to 1 year diploma that you can even do it at home. You will need to go and give an exam, but you can consume the content online. And it's offered by Digital Marketing Institute, DMI.
Right.
Then you have Coursera. Then you have unlimited number of podcasts and lessons on YouTube. I think there's another one by Awes. Awes is a really good guy who talks a lot about digital marketing. So
I couldn't agree more.
yeah, so I think he has done like really good intro video, like 1 to 2 hour video, where he gives you a lot of context about what are the different facets of digital marketing, where you should go, and so on. So content is there. Don't try to learn it from TikTok. Don't try to learn it from Instagram, because you will spend 1 hour, you will see 50 videos, or more than 50 videos, because it's 20 seconds, 30-second videos. And after 1, 2, 3 hours, you will remember nothing.
Yeah, because there is no context, right?
There's
It's
no context. These are nice, snappy videos for you to watch, keep watching, and that's the whole idea behind these platforms. So don't try to learn it from that. I'm sure you can relate, where you really like this TikTok video and you really like this Instagram reel, but you don't really go back to it, because on the spur of the moment you love it, you save it, it's in your saves, And you always feel like, okay, I'll go back to this list and go back to this Instagram Reels list when I can. I have like 50 different categories saved in Instagram Reels,
Equally
and
guilty.
and you have probably saved so many LinkedIn posts, right?
True.
That I'll go back to it. You never go back to it. So I think you need to purposely block time and invest in your education. And then in parallel, I always advise people to go and do something of your own. Build a blog, build your own website. For you, it's a podcast. So do something that later on you need to market or advertise, right? That's the best way, by actually doing it.
Right. So basically, continuously learning alongside building the personal brand, building a bit of social proof as well, like doing some, you know, courses and doing probably, I think my advice to add up to what your advice is, and I think that's spot on, would be doing some freelance work or doing some pro bono work, even work for the people who are struggling with their startups. Go and give them the knowledge that you have, and you will help them for free, but in return you'll get a lot of experience.
100%. Yeah. There are so many opportunities where you can learn more by helping other people, and at the end of the day, it's learning for you, and that's the reward, right? So I think just perseverance is important. Being resilient is super important. Otherwise, you cannot get into any field, right? And just think about the resources available, and also keep in mind that these resources are available to your fellow peers, your competitors, everyone, right? So to get ahead of the game, you need to do more and do better. So use AI, use all the open source large language models that you have these days. And I think LinkedIn is also like a really, really good platform. If you follow right people, you will be in a good spot over time.
I think I couldn't agree more. LinkedIn happens to be a good source of education these days because you get more precise content there. Even the people who are posting it, they're making sure that it's perfect
Yeah.
because they know that their potential employers are reading it,
Yeah.
their current bosses are reading it. So I think you get very precise content, and I think it's easier to cut through the noise on LinkedIn these days.
100%. 100%. I think also, like, people who are watching in their own countries back home in Pakistan, there's a lot of education around e-commerce. There are so many industry leaders in e-com who are giving away courses and stuff. So it's always good to be, local and learn from those people. But I think just overall internet is your oyster. So just go there. There's so much. Yes.
That's correct. And I just realized that we have a lot in common. Previously, when I met Fahim for the first time, I got to know that we graduated from the same university, which we didn't know, in different years, from in different courses, but same university. And now I think we both graduated from DMI as well, which is also interesting. I didn't know you're also a CDMP.
Ah, nice.
I did the CDME, I think, 2 years ago, and the journey was great. My only point would be, I think, to begin, as you said, build from scratch, do free courses on Google. Facebook offers a lot of free courses.
Certifications, yeah.
Snapchat offers their platform, and then go and do a very sophisticated course like CDMP or
Yeah.
CDME.
Yeah. For me, I think CDMP was obviously there was learning, but more importantly, CDMP for me was like a trophy in digital marketing world, because all my background was computer science, telecom and electronics, and there was nothing around digital marketing in my education portfolio. So I had to do something.
No, I think it makes sense. And I think, again, as I mentioned, you need social proof on your profile. You need social proof for your brands, for your personal brands. So I think this is the way you can become Faheem Ahmad. I think he just gave you Faheem Ahmad 101, a performance marketer 101, where to start and what to do to excel.
Thank you for
Uh,
that. It's very humbling. I mean, these days there's so much to learn. You can never stop learning. So if you look at Meta 2 years ago, Google Ads 2 years ago, and if you look at today, even just think about 2024 itself, right? So a year and a half ago, I think, or 2 years ago, Max, there was no Performance Max, there was no Advantage Plus, and right now you have so many new things in each platform. With the exception of Snapchat, I think Snapchat is sticking to its own type of campaigns, and the ads manager hasn't really changed. But um, Google Ads, Meta, overall, like social media, the approach towards marketing in general, the hooks, the new type of content, the creator economy, and then obviously around digital payments and crypto. There's so much happened just last 1 year, right? So, like, if you if you think about AI, there was 2 years ago there was no, I think, ChatGPT, right? So,
True.
and now with video production and video content production being all being available on fingertips, uh, so it's getting like much faster. So the pace is so fast that there is something new to learn every single day. So yeah, it never stops.
That is correct, and it shouldn't stop because that keeps us going, that keeps us moving, that keeps us, getting more stronger as marketers. And another important thing that you spoke about was AI. When a lot of people were talking about metaverse and getting into AR, VR, although I, as a marketer, worked on AR, VR, I think back in 2014 here in Abu Dhabi when I started my first job. The company I used to work for used to work on these things, and we created a few educational products for Ministry of Education, where there is a book, you scan it, and then the whole model is there in your tablet. And then all of a sudden it died. No one was talking about it, and then it was resurrected, as I would say. And then it vanished again. No one is talking about metaverse anymore. Now people call it parallel universe. We heard Meta working on it, but nothing concrete came out. Nothing. Uh, okay, we see a lot of things happening around with the glasses and all those things, and a lot of innovations, but nothing is in the hands of the mass consumers at the moment. But AI, I remember I had a discussion with a cousin of mine who did his master's in artificial intelligence, I think in 2010 or 2011. And he used to tell me that you can automate a lot of things, and now the same automation is being renamed as AI, and it's helping, right? But it's hallucinating as well. And how do you, if you're using AI, how do you make sure that what you're doing, what you're replicating, what you are trying to expand is what you need? Because as a marketer or as a content marketer, I usually try not to rely on what ChatGPT is producing for me. I love to write my own copy for the ads, for the posts. Yes, we do use some forms of generative AI. We create a few videos. I'm not sure if you have seen, but now I have my own digital twin that we use to send out 1 minute insurance videos, and it's working perfectly fine. But again, we need to create a balance, and we need to understand. I see a lot of content coming out, especially on LinkedIn, where you don't get the context, where there is a long post, but you don't know what the person is talking about, right? So where do you draw the line? Sorry for a long question, but my
No, no,
the
I
crux
understand.
would be
Yeah, I think there are a few things here, right? So back to your videos, really nice videos, by the way. They are
appreciated.
super nice, very crisp, and almost they're almost real. Um, and they're almost real within last 1 year. So think about, you were able to produce a video of your digital twin, saying whatever you want to in no matter which language you want to, and it's close to real. People who don't know, they might even fall for it, right?
My
um,
wife fell for it. She didn't know.
so imagine what's going to happen in 5 years, right? So it's going to be more than real. I think it's, yeah, and this thing is never going to stop. So what will happen is there'll be even more content, even a lot more content, right? So then how do you compete, right? And that's where the creative side of you comes, right? So how creative you are in your digital twin, right? So how creative you are in terms of your prompting, what kind of angles are you using, what's your topic, who are you targeting, um, of course, like this content machine is never gonna stop, and there's nobody has built any regulation around it. I think these people who want to have safe usage of AI, they had warned around social media as well, when like back I think in 2005 2006,
Right.
they produced a lot of content around like why should we not allow social media sites to do whatever they like to do. We should not allow everyone to create content. And then we saw what happened, because you allowed everyone to go on social media, do whatever you want to, and now people who are not educated enough, they will see anything on Facebook and Instagram, and they'll feel they think it's real, they think that's the news. With AI, it's just gonna be more and more and more, and this thing is never gonna stop. What's gonna stand out is your creativity, how good you are in producing that kind of content. And I think with ChatGPT, they say that it was an accident. OpenAI was experimenting something, right? So when they finally figured it out, that the algorithms now they can predict what would be the next word in any language. So I think languages came in later, but they probably started with some language, right? So large language models, when they started to produce the output with the next best word, because that's how it works, right? So no matter what prompt you give, that's what the algorithm is focusing on. So it's gonna produce an output, and it's just gonna continue because it knows what should be the right next word to it, right? So yeah, I think overall, in general, I think creativity is never gonna go away. We see so many bad creatives out there still, and a lot of people are adopting, of course. So a lot of people are using AI to create their own content, but only the best ones will stand out. Also, I'm not sure like how good AI is gonna be in terms of videos and video creation and inspiration, but at the end of the day, if it's all looking like blurry, same nice, crisp images, that might not break. Might not be the best ad, right? So you need like human element, human involvement. Even I think around podcasting, there's a lot of stuff happening where now podcasts are being generated by AI. So yeah, I don't know where the world is gonna go, but I feel like human involvement is never gonna stop. And going back to 1999, I think it was 1999, when it was Deep Blue, I think Deep Blue, which had beaten Gary Kasparov in chess for the first time
Right.
in the history. I love chess. I play chess.
I can tell.
So it was the first time when a computer had beaten a human, and
Right.
it wasn't like it had not been done before ever. So when that happened, everybody thought chess is gone now, it's over. But what actually happened is, after that moment onwards, people started to be more curious. They started to learn more about chess. The chess started to come into schools. It even became part of some of the school's curriculum. Everybody started about and learning more about chess, because these computers, these engines, they became so good that then you can now predict next 20 moves. You can know what kind of lines to go for. So obviously everything became a bit more scientific around chess, and it was much easier to learn chess because of computers, right? So I think with AI, it's gonna be the same. It's not gonna take away jobs or anything. It's just gonna produce more, and you'll have more stuff to do.
That is correct. I think I totally agree with it. And I think it's only going to take away jobs from the people who are not going to use
Of
it.
course.
The discussion we have had so far has been very insightful, and thank you very much. One more thing I would like to touch upon is attribution modeling again. And so my question would be, you got into attribution modeling. You've been doing this for quite some time now. Where do you see this going? Number one, and number two, what were some of the roadblocks that you had along the way? Because there, as you said, attribution is dead, right? It is, in my opinion, it is dead for when you don't get it, right? Because anyways, at the end of the day, you need to understand where your traffic is coming from, where your converting leads are coming from. So what are a few things that when you were starting with attribution modeling, you felt and the new marketers getting into this or trying to understand this better should avoid?
I think it's important to understand the platform dynamics and plus your business dynamics, right? So imagine if you are a business whose audience is iOS heavy, obviously you'll have attribution problems because of iOS 14 plus privacy issues, right? And then Google also announced that cookies will deprecate, but then they stopped. So they are here to stay for now, but it might, it might come into effect at some point. So what's happening is people are going to your website, going to your app from a certain source, and now you want to know if the traffic came from this source, and then you also want to know if people converted from that source, right?
Right.
And as easy as it is, if you're able to see it clearly on last touch, fast touch, all of those different attribution models, that okay, this is the source and this is what happened. So when data was clean and everything was tracked, yeah, attribution modeling was easier because you could compare between different models, fast touch, time decay, positional and last click to see which model works for you. And then came into so all of these attribution models, they had their own time, they had different views based upon what kind of business you are. So if your sales cycle is, let's say, 50 days or 90 days, you are a B2B SaaS business, so obviously time decay or any non-last touch attribution model will work for you, because people are not clicking on an ad and coming and buying because they cannot, it's just your product, it's just your service that they cannot just go ahead and buy, because your sales cycle is never less than 60 days, let's say. In those times, those different models worked. But come 2018, 2019, when more and more of channels, they started to monetize, Snapchat ads came, Meta became a thing, people started spending more on Google ads, performance marketing started to evolve. So organic social, went out of hand. So what happened is now you have 10 different channels sending traffic. You have organic in the picture, you have organic social, organic search, you have paid, and inside paid you have like 5 different channels. So the moment you start to become bigger and bigger as a business, the more channels you have, and then that's where the complexity started, right?
True.
And all of it, now when it goes back to where is it going, is it going into GA? 90-80% of the time it's going into GA, because that's the free platform that everyone uses. Now even if you use like a paid version of Google Analytics, still is not gonna solve attribution for you, because after 2020 it even became more complex with the post iOS privacy changes, and user identity was protected. You're not allowed to track that user anymore. So if someone opens your app, mostly around your apps, and they say do not track me, you don't know what happened with that user. So I think by default, because most of the businesses who were using attribution modeling, and they were looking at different touch points inside GA or maybe another analytics platform, for them last click made sense. And with last click, the next problem came is, where are you looking? You're looking at GA4 or GA, which is a platform owned by Google, and Google happens to be 50% of your marketing budget as well. So naturally, it's also lower funnel, and when people come through to purchase, most likely they're gonna come through Google Ads. um, and yeah, I think 2022, a lot of people kind of understood that that's where the problem is, because it's over attribution, and even with data driven attribution model, it's not really working. And still, yeah, happens to be the challenge today. And last few years now, people have started to think about media mix modeling, and a lot of companies are coming up with their MMM models. Even Google has made it open source to implement MMM at your own business. But even with MMM, it's a bit tricky, because half of the marketing gurus, marketing science people, they believe in it, and the rest they don't. They say that it's super hard and not easy for you to have the right output with an MMM model because it needs a lot of data. You as a consumer who is into buying mode at a certain time of the year can never be in the same buying modes another time. So another time they'll think about another business, they buy from another business, and it's just the dynamic of the world these days, right? Because you have so many options, you see so many ads, and it's never been complex, never been this complex before, right? So
Agreed.
what happened with now MMM is, I think a lot of people have started to implement it as well, and some businesses they have really good feedback, where they have really good insights um, from channel point of view or a certain campaign point of view, to say this campaign with this angle during this time works really well. This channel plays an important and crucial role, and you should double, triple the budget there. So it gives you like so many insights, but it's not something that has become mainstream yet. So the attribution challenge stays for now.
I don't want to wrap it up, but I think in the interest of time, we'll have to. We'll continue this conversation probably in many more languages, of course, for the audiences to comprehend this better. Thank you very much, Faheem, for gracing Behind Marketing Lines with your presence. It was a pleasure.
Thank you, Zishan. It was lovely being here, and I wish you all the best. Thank you.
Thank you very much.